Video games have been a truly wonderful thing in my life. All the memories, all the friends I've made, all the controllers and headsets smashed. Gaming has been my favorite hobby ever since I started playing when I was 4 years old. But regrettably, we only have so much time to play what we can, especially when we have jobs and bills to pay. So it's easy for a lot of games to be left in the dreaded backlog, as our library of games continues to expand. I'm sure all of you out there have had a backlog at least once before and know how much of a pain in the ass it is to overcome it. So today, I took a little inspiration from my friend Blazing Knight's video who went over his massive backlog, and trust me, he'll regrettably tell you that too, and thought it would be interesting to go over my own backlog. These are games that I either have yet to play or played a little bit of them but can't give a concrete opinion on them, and also ones that I will finish one day. The struggles of being an adult be damned. Fellow fellas and lady fellas, let's take a look at many games that I have yet to dabble into and what experiences I'll be looking forward to as I go through my backlog.
3, 2, 1.
We're going to start this little journey of ours with my physical games first. I'm honestly more of a digital person, so this section won't take that long, starting with the Nintendo Switch, where I have a total of 6 games to tackle, so let's not waste any more time. Oh man, what a way to start this video off, as my first game showcased is Tales of Vesperia. Now I haven't played much of the Tales series, having only played and beaten Arise and Symphonia, which are both fantastic, and I hear really good things about the franchise as a whole. Since we're now getting a remaster of the PS3 exclusive Graces next year on modern consoles, I think it might be finally time to explore more of what this series has to offer. Oh man, I know a lot of Fire Emblem fans are going to be upset about this one, but I haven't gotten that far into Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I remember picking this game up day one and genuinely enjoying myself for a few days or so before never coming back to it again. I don't really know why. Fire Emblem is currently one of my favorite video game franchises, so not having beaten one of its games, even if it's a spin-off, sounds perplexing to say the least. So hopefully I can get more into Shez's journey throughout this pretty f***ed up alternate Foldland, and 3 Houses is bad enough as is. Oh hey, we have another Musou game I barely played and certainly won't get me hate comments. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, I'm not the biggest Zelda fan out there, but I still enjoy the series, with Breath of the Wild being one of my favorites in the series. And this game takes place before the events of that game, and being a Musou, I'm sure the rest of the game is still good fun. But having barely played it, I can't wait to see more into this new take on Hyrule. Now, with a franchise as massive as Pokemon, it's pretty evident some of their games would end up in here, but truth be told, I only have 2 currently in my backlog. The first of which being New Pokemon Snap. I have very fond memories of the first one on Nintendo 64, and I've heard from friends this one is even better and like, guys, look how fucking pretty it is! Plus these kinds of games are short, so maybe I can get through this one sooner rather than later. I have procrastinated a ton with this next one, as Metroid Dread is arguably considered the best Metroid game to date by fans. I played a bit of it day one, but I've yet to return to the game, because life. So maybe when I have the time, Samus's latest adventure can stick in my brain for months to come until we finally get our hands on Prime 4. This one is a bit peculiar compared to the rest of this backlog, as I've already played the first of the 2 games in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, I am a die-hard Ace Attorney fan, so I'm not sure why I haven't beaten the second Great Ace Attorney yet. So hopefully I get even more enjoyment from the sequel, since the first game felt like a huge breath of fresh air for the series. Now I just need the Investigations collection, which I got, and my satisfaction for having all the games featuring the spiky-haired lawyer shall be fulfilled. Now we're on to my Xbox Series X, and I only have 1 game to showcase, but my god, it was poorly timed. As I'm sure you all know by now, the legend that is James Earl Jones has passed away, rest in peace. who was the one who provided the voice of the most iconic villain in media history, Darth Vader. So now I feel kind of bad that I have yet to beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I played a good chunk of it, so maybe this could be a drive to get through it, alongside its sequel that I have yet to buy. Only time will tell, as the Force will always be with me. Now we got a couple physical games from older consoles as well, where I have only 2 games to speak about. I don't buy a lot of physical games, okay?
But you may want to start changing your ways, or changing your name.
I love the Kirby series to absolute bits, as it's one of my favorite franchises. But this one always seemed to slip my radar for some reason. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. This is a remaster of the original version on the Wii that's on the 3DS, with some quality of life features, and somehow this game kinda looks good on the 3DS, so I'm really interested to see what else has been improved in an already adorable package. And the last physical game I need to beat is the Mega Man Zero collection, particularly 02 and 04. I've already played and beaten the first one and 3, and those are awesome games, so maybe it's finally time to put my money where my mouth is and tackle the rest of Zero's adventures in this glorious spin-off series. But I'm also in for a treat, because if you aren't aware, Mega Man games are hard. Now we're on to the digital games in my library, and oh boy, we got quite a bit to cover, so let's get right into it. Starting with the 11 digital 3DS games that have yet to be even touched, so this should be interesting to see what I've got to look forward to. Remember when I said that there were 2 Pokemon games that I've yet to play? Well, this is the second one, Detective Pikachu. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie with the same name, but I completely forgot that this adaptation originated from this video game. So there's this Pikachu who apparently talks with a surprisingly deep voice and loves coffee. Man, he and Godo should be friends for real. I do love me a good mystery game, so maybe this game will deliver on that front. And on that note, yes, I will get the second game on the Switch as well if I enjoy this first one. Here we have a bit of an oddball case here, the Box Boy trilogy, consisting of Box Boy, Box Boy, and Bye Bye Box Boy. Say that 3 times fast. Now, puzzle games aren't necessarily my cup of tea, but these just looked so cute and so simple to play that I could play and beat one of these during an entire afternoon. Then you realize I've only gone through 1 of 3 games. Shit. Still interested in this though. I mean, it's made by HAL Laboratory, and I don't think I need to be convinced to just only this. Here's another oddball case from my 3DS collection, as I'm sure not many people out there are familiar with the name Radiant Historia. It's a game made by Atlas, so I'm already interested in that alone, as I liked both Stella Glow and adore Persona 5. It's a JRPG, and I hear it's a long one, but I honestly don't really mind. Crazy how this somehow left my brain and hopped in the gutter forever so it could stink and it could rot into submission. That name is pretty badass though. Now this one has honestly been a long time coming, Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Now I'm more so familiar with Mario & Luigi, having played all 4 games up until this point, but I'm not that too familiar with Paper Mario, having only played Thousand Year Door. With there being a brand new Mario & Luigi game coming out next month, I think it's finally time to give this latest in the series a shot. Now this one feels like a blast from the past for me, since there was a lot of talk about Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure back in the days of the Countdown community, most notably from creators like The Quarter Guy and Benjamage back in the day. The game was definitely received positively, so I'm super curious about the hype that surrounded this rhythm game back in the 2010s. I'm always down to playing a cozy little puzzle game if the Box Boy games being in my backlog aren't any indication, and Picross 3D Round 2 might be right up my alley. I played the first Picross 3D on the DS and thoroughly enjoyed myself, so I hope I can enjoy another cozy puzzle game with this 3DS title. I wonder what kind of objects we'll be creating with this time, given the ones that were from the first game on the DS, like a Kadomatsu tree. How neat. We got another rhythm game for this one, but unlike many others I've seen, Harmonite has a pretty cute little concept attached to it. I heard a lot of people talking about this one back in the day and how fun it is, so I'm glad I got the opportunity to buy this game when I did. Now I just gotta play it. Come on, K-Dog, why are you like this? Oh no, another Metroid game? The fans won't let this one go. But yeah, here we have Metroid Samus Returns, a remake of the second Metroid game that was on the Game Boy. This game introduced many new mechanics in Metroid that have a lot of fans vibing with it. Some of them I experienced during my limited time with Dread, and I'm hoping this adventure with Samus Aran is yet another journey that I will vibe with from the awesome bounty hunter. Alright, time for the Switch digital titles, and we have a total of... Wait, how many did you say? Surely there's no way, right? We have 18 games? Oh boy, we're about to be here for a while. So strap yourselves in. Starting off with 2 games I'm really excited to tackle, Danganronpa 2 and V3. I've played the first game and love it to bits, and I've currently played through a little bit of the second game. Everything about this series just intrigues me, and I'm loving every second of it. So I'm looking forward to see how the series plays on, because I cannot get enough of this goddamn bear. Oh, Monokuma, my beloved son of a bitch. Now here's a funny fact about this indie title. I don't even remember my initial interest in Death's Door. My guess is that the game just looks super interesting in concept and gameplay. Looking at the footage, my assumptions are certainly correct. This looks awesome, and I can't wait to finally tackle this well-received indie gem. Oh boy, this is going to be exciting, as I got some good old vampire hunting to do with these Castlevania collections. This series is one I've always been interested in, but just never had the time to get through it. I played the first Castlevania and enjoyed it, and I'm even more hyped to get through some of the other games like Super Castlevania 4 and Aria of Sorrow. And turns out there's even more to look forward to with the Dominus collection that just came out, consisting of all the DS Castlevania games, which are considered some of the best in the series. Oh boy, this is going to be one hell of a good time. We're back on the indie scene for the next 4 or so games, starting with the Azure Striker Gunvolt trilogy. I played through a little bit of the first game and loved the fast-paced gameplay reminding me of Mega Man X/Zero. Considering how good those games are, I'm sure I'll get a very similar result with this trilogy with its electrifying gameplay. Pun entirely intended. Turns out we're not quite done with Gunvolt just yet. As a matter of fact, there's 2 spin-off games called the Gunvolt Chronicles: Luminous Avenger. These are spin-off games that apparently require knowledge from the first 2 Azure Striker Gunvolt games, so I'll probably take those out first before learning more about the world of Gunvolt with these spin-off titles. And we are back with our beloved Box Boy series once again with the latest release, Box Boy plus Box Girl. Now, given the simplicity of these games from what I've heard and the first 3 games being on the 3DS, I'm curious to see how they'll change things up on more powerful hardware, or if they're just going to keep the norm. Only time will tell once I finally get to playing this game.
Well, we're waiting.
I feel so bad for dodging this one. Considered to be an indie masterpiece that actually got nominated for Game of the Year in 2020, Hades is a game that I've heard so many good things about. Well, they must be, since the game has a sequel that's currently in early access, so maybe it's time I encounter a new take on the Lord of the Underworld himself. At least he likely won't be a massive troll like this dickhead is.
Hello there.
The visual novel is one of my favorite video game genres, so I'm quite surprised I have yet to play the Famicom Detective Club games, since this series is now a trilogy with the release of Emio the Smiling Man, which I've actually talked about on this channel before. I've been hearing good things too, so I can't wait to see this quite obscure trilogy from Nintendo of all developers. Like, internally developed by them. Interesting. Now, why on God's green earth have I yet to play through Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker? I loved these little levels we got in Mario 3D World, but this Switch version has basically just been sitting in my SD card just waiting to be played. I don't know much about the game other than that, so maybe sooner rather than later, and it could be Toad's turn in the spotlight. Now this one has also been a long time coming. Mega Man 11. I remember doing a marathon of getting through all the classic Mega Man games 1 through 10, and it's been one hell of a ride. The Blue Bomber has yet to disappoint me in his 2D adventures, mostly, so hoping this latest in the series is just yet another spin on that record, and I'll be enjoying Mega Man all over again. Now I'm sure a lot of you out there aren't familiar with this one, Evergate. This game is a 2D puzzle platformer with a haunting setting, an amazing looking hand-drawn art direction, and vision of the afterlife. I'm usually pretty bad with puzzles, but nevertheless, I'm sure Evergate will still at least be an enjoyable time. I wonder if this will be a creepy kind of afterlife, or one of those cool looking afterlives. We'll just have to see. And for the final game in my Switch digital backlog, we have Indivisible, an action RPG made by the same developers who made Skullgirls. I love the Skullgirls art style and hand-drawn animations that look wonderful. And looking at footage from Indivisible, this looks like it'll be just another great game from Lab Zero Games, despite their controversial history when developing this game. Well, it turns out I have a few Xbox digital games to go over as well. 7 games in particular. Well, not counting Game Pass titles that I'll eventually download again once I'm able to make consistent money again. And I'll just quickly mention what those games are right now, which include Cassette Beasts, Kinitugami Path of the Goddess, Sea of Stars, both Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and finally, Liza P. But moving on to the ones that are actually in my library, it turns out I'm not quite done with Castlevania yet, as I forgot I had 2 more in the series on my Xbox, Lords of Shadow and Symphony of the Night. Lords of Shadow being a more action-adventure and hack-and-slash, and Symphony of the Night going back to the series' Metroidvania roots. We'll likely be playing these during Halloween season, so I'm looking forward to these. Now this one hurts for me as an RPG fan. Now I admittedly have no interest in Shin Megami Tensei, but somehow its spin-off series Persona has caught my eye, and I have Persona 3 and 4 on my Xbox. I know a lot of my friends have played the Persona series and can't shut up about these games. I adored Persona 5, and I'm even a Joker main in Smash Ultimate. Time to throw my hands in the ring, I suppose. And I'll likely be starting with Persona 4 since I hear it's the more beginner-friendly between the two. Now these next 2 games will likely be the first ones I play from my backlog because I cannot get the Resident Evil series out of my head. The RE2 and 3 remakes will be my introduction into Resident Evil, and I personally am so excited to finally play this series and see what all the hype is about. I've already played a little bit of RE2, and yeah, that checks out. For my final Xbox digital game, we're going into the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, as I've heard nothing but good things about Sonic Frontiers. Well, from people who aren't the Sonic fanbase.
Know your fucking place, trash.
I was always curious about how an open-world Sonic game would look, so I'm honestly stoked to play another adventure with our beloved Hedgehog here. Alright, and to wrap things up here, let's take a look at my Steam library. A total of 14 games, including my wishlist, stand before me and my dreaded backlog. So let's see what I've got here. First up in my Steam library is Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 being nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2023 got me interested in this series. Though I have heard that the first game is a little janky, but I still at least want to take a look at what these games have to offer. Oh boy, I cannot wait for this one. Cuphead was in development hell back in 2010 before switching to the Unity game engine in 2014, and then releasing in 2017. The 1930s rubber-hosed cartoon art style really intrigued my interest in this game, and I'm excited. But my god, I am also not prepared for how rage-inducing this game might be because this shit looks hard. And you thought I was done with Danganronpa? Nah, we still have this game in the backlog as well, Ultra Despair Girls. This is the first spin-off of the Danganronpa series, yet it still features a character from the first game who just so happens to get some character development as well. I'm excited to continue my Danganronpa endeavors with this spin-off of the acclaimed visual novel series. Oh boy, Dragon's Dogma. A certain user in a certain Patreon Discord server I'm in just will not shut up about this action RPG and hack and slash from Capcom set in a huge open world. With the sequel currently out and hearing that it might be better than the first game, it might be that time to finally give this series a shot, unless I want to hear more about Dragon's Dogma being a game descended from the gods. Now I know for sure I'm about to have a lot of fun with this next one, cause it's DuckTales, woo! I enjoyed the late 80s cartoon and the reboot in 2017, Also, I enjoyed the NES Classic for a super short yet pretty fun experience. So I'm sure I'll enjoy the remastered version as much as I love the IP itself. Not to mention, this remaster brought back as much as the original series as they possibly can. Oh, what's that? Is that the great late Alan Young I hear as Scrooge? Hell fucking yeah! Now here's something I'm sure a lot of you aren't that familiar with. Firewatch is an adventure game that came out in 2016, as it follows a fire lookout named Henry and his companion Delilah through his walkie-talkie as they encounter unseen forces and have to unravel a years-old mystery. The story and art style immediately enticed me to learn more, and I look forward to what mystery we must unravel here. Here we have something that I pre-ordered and a game that will eventually release, but I cannot wait to spend another 500 hours on Monster Hunter Wilds. I am a die-hard Monster Hunter fan, having played the series since the very beginning on the PS2 in 2004. I'm very curious how Capcom will approach an open-world Monster Hunter game, and seeing some of the new monsters in the trailers and the gameplay demos, as well as being able to play the beta myself. Oh, I cannot wait for February 28th, 2025. This one hurts, man. Yup, I have yet to play and beat the 2 Portal games. It's honestly surprising I haven't gotten through these games yet, considering they're recognized as classics. Puzzle games aren't necessarily my favorite, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy some good old puzzle solving, so hopefully the puzzles in these games don't disappoint. Also, there's GLaDOS and Wheatley too, I guess.
For science, you monster.
Now I'm really hoping I get into this game soon, as Soma is a horror game I've had my eye on for a long time, since I'm a big horror fan. The underwater research facility, the dark and mysterious atmosphere, a man finding himself in these unforeseen circumstances at the wrong place and at the wrong time. This game could be another horror experience that I won't forget for a long time. Or it may just scar me for life, because even though I can swim, I have a horrible fear of drowning. For this next one, we take a trip down memory lane to the Blue Blur's humble beginnings, as I'm curious to see if the quality of life features are actually worth it to finally beat Sonic's origin titles. I played my fair share of Sonic, but have never actually beaten the titles from the 90s. Guess it's time to go fast once more and beat the games that made Sonic one of the most iconic video game mascots of all time. Now that I've finally upgraded to a full-on gaming PC, my excitement for this next game just skyrocketed. Insomniac's take on a Spider-Man game. The Web Slinger is my favorite superhero of all time, and these games have been ones I've been dying to try out, but since I've never had a PS4 or PS5, I had to wait for an eventual PC release. Well, we got one in 2022, and now I'm beyond excited for this brand new adventure starring everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as well as the Miles Morales spin-off and Spider-Man 2 that just got a PC port announcement. I've been a huge fan of SpongeBob ever since I was a kid, and especially his video game tie-ins. I love Battle for Bikini Bottom and the remaster, so I definitely have a strong feeling of enjoying the Cosmic Shake as well. The game's developers, Purple Lamp, worked hard with the original series writers and brought back the voice cast of the show, so I basically have zero reason to procrastinate any further when it comes to playing this. Oh boy, Square Enix strikes again with the RPGs, as I have yet to play Triangle Strategy. Silly name aside, I remember playing the demo and being impressed with what I saw in terms of the presentation, sprite animation, and gameplay. I'm not sure why I waited so long to play this game, so I'm hoping I don't have to wait much longer. Now we'll transition to my Steam wishlist of games that I eventually do plan to buy and play one day, with there being a total of 10 games on here. Time to finally finish this list, starting with a series that had such unfortunate timing. The Borderlands series, including the trilogy and the prequel game. This feels very awkward to start this series now, given that Borderlands 4 was recently announced and the movie sucks. But I'm still trying to get myself into more shooter games, and nonetheless, I still look forward to exploring a whole 4 games worth of the world of Pandora. Now normally when it comes to platform fighter games, I prefer Smash Bros any day. But I actually have hands-on experience with this game during one of the betas, Rivals of Aether 2. The first Rivals of Aether is a game I loved a lot, and after playing the September beta for this game, I'm excited to get into this new iteration given some of the devs behind this game, which includes Twitch streamer Ludwig.
Hey people, welcome back to Magamel!
It doesn't come up as much, but I adore Pac-Man. From the classic arcade games to his take on a 3D platformer, and Bandai Namco made a remake of the first Pac-Man world. It's been a long time since I played one of these games, so maybe it's time to take a trip down memory lane with the pizza man missing a slice. Waka waka waka, motherfuckers. Talk about insane timing, since I recently just sparked an interest in Alien Isolation around the same time that a sequel was announced to be in early development. This would be my first Alien game, and I already enjoy the Alien movies, so hopefully the tense horror and atmosphere translates to a video game for me as well. Everyone knows Telltale Games at this point, not only known for the likes of Sam & Max, Monkey Island, The Walking Dead games, and also this little gem, The Wolf Among Us. Being based on the Fables comic book series, this graphic adventure game is one I've been waiting to play for a while, and given the art style and the overall mystery we have to solve, my inner Sherlock Holmes is screaming with excitement to solve yet another mystery. Here we have another adventure game, but this time with some platforming elements. Somerville is the debut game of indie studio Jumpship, which includes ex-devs of Playdead who made Limbo and Inside. So this can be considered a spiritual successor of some kind, but regardless, I will never say no to another game in this style when it comes to art and gameplay, so I'm of course going to be excited as all hell for this. And our final game in my backlog, we got another visual novel, and this one has an interesting premise behind it. The game is called Tavern Talk, and you play as the owner of a tavern in the fantasy land of Asteria, as you serve drinks and interact with the many adventurers who visit the tavern and uncover an ancient threat looming around Asteria. And that premise speaks for itself. And that's what I got in store for my gaming backlog. You know, given how many games are actually in my backlog, I honestly might make a little mini-series going over the games in my backlog. Maybe take like 10 minutes to talk about them as I continue to take them down one by one, and can include even more new games that I decide to buy in the future. Let me know if that's something you all would like to see in the comments below. But yeah, that's all I had for this video, so until next time, I'll be signing out and finally getting through this bullshit. Take care, everyone.